A millionaire ate lunch with a homeless girl every day, and one day something amazing happened. The midday sun filtered through the trees in the bustling city park, casting soft shadows over a scene of urban vibrancy. Food trucks lined the pathways, their aromatic offerings drawing a crowd of office workers, tourists, and families. Among them was Lucas Graham, a sharp-suited young tech millionaire. He wasn't there for the food or the crowd. He sought the solitude of his daily escape, a brief reprieve from boardrooms and balance sheets. Carrying a sandwich and coffee from a nearby vendor, Lucas strolled toward his usual bench near the fountain. He paused, noticing someone had already claimed it, a young woman, disheveled but striking in her presence. Her clothes were patched and worn, her auburn hair pulled back in a loose ponytail. She sat cross-legged, carefully breaking apart a piece of bread to share with a scruffy stray dog at her feet. Lucas hesitated, curiosity piqued. He watched as she laughed softly, speaking to the dog as if it could answer her. Her voice was light but tinged with exhaustion, a strange mix that tugged at something in him. "That's not much of a lunch," Lucas said, stepping closer. The girl looked up sharply, her green eyes narrowing. "I don't remember asking for food critics today," she snapped, her tone dripping with sarcasm. Lucas couldn't help but chuckle. "Fair point," he said, holding up his sandwich. "Here, take this, no strings attached." Her gaze flicked to the sandwich, then back to him. Suspicion mingled with hunger in her eyes. "What's the catch?" "No catch," Lucas replied. "You just look like you could use it more than I can." The dog wagged its tail enthusiastically, as if urging her to accept. She hesitated, her pride battling her hunger. Finally, she reached out, snatching the sandwich from his hand. "Fine," she muttered, "but don't think this makes us friends." Lucas grinned, sitting down on the edge of the fountain. "Noted." She unwrapped the sandwich, taking a cautious bite. Her wariness began to melt as the flavors hit her tongue, though she masked it with a begrudging expression. The dog sat patiently by her side, rewarded with a small piece of bread. "So," Lucas said after a moment, "are you always this friendly, or is it just my lucky day?" She arched an eyebrow. "Says the guy offering sandwiches to strangers in the park. What's your deal, anyway? Corporate guilt? Boredom?" Lucas laughed again, genuinely amused. "Let's call it curiosity. You don't exactly blend in with the crowd." "Thanks for pointing that out," she said dryly, brushing crumbs from her lap. "I'll be sure to buy a power suit next time I hit the thrift store." Lucas leaned back, still smiling. "You've got a quick wit. I like that." The girl didn't respond immediately, her focus shifting to the dog, who nuzzled her hand affectionately. For a moment, a flicker of vulnerability crossed her face, quickly masked by her usual guarded demeanor. "I'm Clara," she said finally, not meeting his eyes. "Lucas," he replied. "Nice to meet you, Clara." "Sure," she said with a shrug, finishing the sandwich and crumpling the wrapper in her hand. "Thanks for the food or whatever." Lucas stood, dusting off his pants. "You're welcome." "And Clara?" She looked up, her expression a mixture of curiosity and wariness. "I'll see you tomorrow," he said with a grin before turning and walking away. Clara stared after him, her lips parting as if to call him back, but the words never came. Instead, she shook her head, muttering under her breath, "What a weirder." The dog barked, wagging its tail as if in agreement. Clara gave the animal a small smile, scratching behind its ears. Still, her thoughts lingered on Lucas, his easy demeanor, his sharp suit that hinted at a life far removed from hers, and the way he seemed genuinely interested in her despite her rough edges. As she leaned back against the bench, the late afternoon sun warming her face, Clara allowed herself a rare moment of contentment. But deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling that Lucas's sudden appearance in her life might lead to something far more complicated than a free sandwich. The next day, the city park buzzed with its usual lunchtime crowd. Lucas strolled in, a brown paper bag in one hand and his coffee in the other. His gaze instinctively found Clara on the same bench, her dog Max curled at her feet. She was sketching something on a crumpled piece of paper with the stub of a pencil. "Back again," Clara said, not looking up. "Didn't want you to go hungry," Lucas replied, holding out the paper bag. Clara hesitated before taking it. "You're persistent. And what's in it for you, exactly?" "Maybe I just enjoy the company," Lucas said with a grin, as he sat on the edge of the fountain nearby. Clara unwrapped the sandwich, giving him a sideways glance. "You really need better standards for company." "I think my standards are just fine." For the next few days, their routine began to solidify. Lucas would arrive with lunch and a coffee, settling into easy banter with Clara while she shared the food with Max. Clara's sharp wit kept him on his toes, and her candidness was a refreshing change from the polished, guarded conversations he was used to in his high-powered world. One day, Lucas noticed Clara shivering slightly in the crisp autumn air. Without a word, he handed her a neatly folded blanket from his bag. "What's this?" she asked, frowning. "For Max," he said simply. "Figured he might need it more than you do." Clara blinked, caught off guard. She draped the blanket over Max, who wagged his tail enthusiastically. "Thanks," she murmured. "For him." Lucas shrugged, hiding the warmth spreading through his chest. "No problem." As the days turned into weeks, Clara began to open up, little by little. She told Lucas about her life before she ended up on the streets, her dreams of becoming an artist, the time she spent at art school, and the sudden financial collapse that forced her to drop out. "Life happens," she said, staring at her sketch of Max. "You think you've got it all figured out, and then the rug gets pulled out from under you. Have you tried getting back into art?" Lucas asked. Clara scoffed. "Art doesn't pay rent. Besides, people don't exactly line up to hire someone who sleeps on a bench." Lucas didn't press further, sensing the frustration behind her words. Instead, he steered the conversation to lighter topics, making her laugh with stories about work drama he fabricated to avoid revealing his true career. "So what do you do, exactly?" Clara asked one afternoon. "Office stuff," Lucas said vaguely. "Paperwork, emails, the occasional meeting." "Sounds thrilling," Clara said dryly. "You'd be surprised," Lucas replied with a grin. Their conversations became the highlight of Lucas's day. He found himself looking forward to their lunches more than any business deal or social engagement. Clara's raw honesty and resilience intrigued him, and her humor brightened his otherwise structured, high-stakes life. But Lucas wasn't the only one who began to feel the pull of connection. Clara noticed the way Lucas genuinely listened to her, how he never made her feel pitied or judged. Despite her reservations, she started to look forward to seeing him every day. Still, Clara couldn't help but wonder about his motives. One day, as they sat together on the bench, Clara finished her sandwich and turned to him, her expression serious. "Why do you keep coming here?" she asked. Lucas raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "You've got a job, a life. You're clearly not struggling like the rest of us, so why waste your time with me?" Lucas hesitated, caught off guard by the question. He could feel her eyes searching his face, waiting for an answer. "Maybe I like it here," he said finally. "Maybe I like talking to you." Clara frowned, but her gaze softened. She didn't press further, though the question lingered in her mind. As Lucas watched her pet Max unfold the blanket over her lap, he realized the truth. This wasn't just about curiosity or kindness anymore. Clara had become a part of his world in a way he hadn't expected, and he wasn't ready to let that go. The thought both thrilled and terrified him. Rain fell steadily, drumming against the rooftops of parked cars and splashing into the puddles forming on the cracked pavement. Lucas hurried through the downpour with 2 steaming cups of coffee in hand, his coat shielding the paper bag holding their usual lunch. Clara sat huddled under the thin awning of the park bench, her makeshift shelter doing little to keep her dry. Max, ever faithful, lay at her feet, damp but wagging his tail at the sight of Lucas approaching. "Rain or shine, huh?" Lucas said, offering her a cup. Clara accepted it with a raised eyebrow. "You're persistent, I'll give you that. Most people would have stayed home. Most people don't have a lunch date," Lucas quipped. She laughed softly, cupping her hands around the warm coffee. "Well, lucky for you I'm not picky company." Lucas glanced at the relentless rain. "We're not sitting here in this, though. My car's right there, less wet, more warm. Max can come too." Clara hesitated, her usual caution surfacing. "Your car." Lucas gestured to the sleek black sedan parked nearby. "Don't worry, no tricks. Just thought it'd be nicer than freezing out here." After a moment's pause, Clara nodded. "All right, but if you play elevator music, I'm out." Lucas chuckled, leading her and Max to the car. Once inside, Clara leaned back in the passenger seat, visibly relaxing as the warmth seeped in. Max jumped into the back, curling up contentedly. "You know," Clara began, cradling her coffee, "I used to love days like this. I'd sit by the window and sketch for hours. The sound of rain always made everything feel calmer." "You still sketch?" Lucas asked, his voice genuinely curious. "Not as much," she admitted. "Hard to draw when you don't even have a pencil half the time." Lucas frowned. "Do you miss it?" "Every day," Clara said quietly, staring at the rain-streaked window. "I used to dream of opening my own gallery." Somewhere small, nothing fancy. Just a place where people could come and feel something when they looked at my work. Why don't you? Lucas asked. Clara laughed, a bittersweet sound. Lucas, I sleep on a bench. Galleries don't exactly hand out keys to people like me. Doesn't mean it's impossible, Lucas said firmly. She turned to him, her expression a mix of skepticism and gratitude. You're an optimist. I'll give you that. Their conversation lingered in Lucas's mind long after the rain had stopped and they'd gone their separate ways. That night, he made a decision. The next morning, Clara arrived at her bench to find a neatly wrapped package waiting for her. Inside was a brand new sketch pad, a set of pencils, and a small box of watercolors. A note was tucked inside. Every dream starts somewhere. A friend. Clara's breath caught as she ran her fingers over the pristine supplies. Max barked, sensing her excitement. She clutched the sketchpad to her chest, her heart full of gratitude. She assumed some kind stranger had left it for her and resolved to put it to good use. The next day, Lucas found her immersed in her sketchbook, a spark of joy in her eyes he hadn't seen before. Looks like someone's been busy, he said, sitting down beside her. Clara smiled, holding up a half-finished sketch of Max. It's nothing special, but it feels good to draw again. It's more than special, Lucas said, meaning every word. As they fell into their usual rhythm, Lucas's assistant, Olivia, happened to pass by the park. She slowed her pace, recognizing her boss sitting on a bench, chatting animatedly with a woman who appeared, less polished than his usual company. Later that afternoon, Olivia approached him in the office. Lucas, I saw you in the park earlier. Who was that? Lucas's guard went up immediately. Just a friend, he said. A friend? Olivia's tone was skeptical. She looked homeless. Lucas frowned. And? What difference does that make? Olivia hesitated. None, I suppose. It's just unusual. Lucas dismissed her concerns, but Olivia's words stuck with him. He couldn't ignore the reality of how the world might perceive his connection with Clara. The next day, Clara picked up on his distracted demeanor. Something on your mind? She asked, handing him half of her sandwich, a rare gesture from someone who didn't have much to share. Lucas hesitated, caught between the comfort of their growing bond and the secret he was keeping. Are you hiding something from me? Clara pressed, her tone light but probing. Lucas forced a smile. Me? Of course not. But Clara wasn't convinced. As she watched him avoid her gaze, doubt began to creep in. For the first time, she wondered if there was more to Lucas than he was letting on. The sun hung low in the sky as Clara sat on the park bench, sketching absently while Max lay at her feet. She had been feeling uneasy about Lucas for days, suspecting there was more to him than he let on. That afternoon, her suspicions were confirmed in the worst way possible. Clara was gathering her things to leave when she overheard Lucas's voice nearby. Curiosity piqued, she moved closer, staying hidden behind a tree. I'm just saying, Lucas. Olivia's voice carried a sharp edge. Spending all this time with her, this homeless girl, it's risky. What happens when she finds out you're not just some regular guy? Lucas sighed. Olivia, I didn't approach Clara as a project. I wasn't playing some game. I didn't want her to see me as a walking dollar sign. She's different. Genuine. Olivia's response was skeptical. But you've been lying by omission. She's bound to feel betrayed when the truth comes out. Clara's heart pounded as she backed away from the tree, her sketchbook clutched to her chest. She could barely process the sting of betrayal. Later that evening, Lucas arrived at the park with his usual easy smile, only to find Clara waiting for him, her expression cold. Clara, he started, but she cut him off. So you're a millionaire, she said bluntly. Lucas froze. Clara, I can explain. Don't bother, she snapped, her voice trembling. I heard you talking to your assistant. All this time you've been pretending to be someone you're not. Was I just some little charity case to make you feel better about your privileged life? No. Lucas's voice rose in desperation. It wasn't like that. I didn't want my money to get in the way of knowing you, of knowing the real you. Clara let out a bitter laugh. You mean the real me you decided to observe like some social experiment? Do you have any idea how humiliating this is? It was never about charity, Lucas insisted. I admired you, your strength, your resilience. I didn't want to ruin that by bringing money into it. Clara's eyes filled with tears, but her voice stayed sharp. You think that makes it okay? You lied to me, Lucas. You made me believe we were equals, but all along you were hiding the truth. You don't understand what it's like to fight for every scrap, to wonder where your next meal is coming from. Lucas took a hesitant step forward. "Clara, I care about you. I was scared you'd walk away if you knew who I really was. And now I'm walking away because you weren't honest," Clara said, her voice breaking. "Congratulations, Lucas. You got what you were afraid of?" She turned and strode away, Max trotting after her, leaving Lucas standing alone in the park. For days, Lucas returned to the bench, hoping to find Clara there, but the spot remained empty. The thought of losing her weighed heavily on him. "I messed up," Lucas admitted to Olivia during a late-night conversation in his office. "Well," Olivia said matter-of-factly, "you've got two options: sit here and sulk, or do something about it. Show her you're not the person she thinks you are." Lucas nodded, determination hardening in his expression. "I'll fix this, somehow." But as days turned into weeks without any sign of Clara, Lucas began to fear he'd lost her for good. The winter air was crisp as Clara trudged through the quiet streets, Max by her side. Life at the shelter was far from comfortable, but it was a step up from the cold park benches. She tried to focus on her art, sketching in the evenings to find some solace. Yet, thoughts of Lucas lingered, his betrayal mixing with memories of his kindness. Unbeknownst to Clara, Lucas had been working tirelessly to make things right. Through a friend at the shelter, he discovered Clara's location. Though relieved to know she was safe, he respected her need for space and resolved to show her how much he cared in a way that honored her talent and dreams. Lucas had spent hours piecing together Clara's discarded sketches from the park. With the help of professional curators, he turned her rough, raw artwork into a stunning collection, mounted on walls in a cozy downtown gallery. The grand gesture took weeks of preparation, and now it was time. Lucas sent an anonymous invitation to the shelter, asking Clara to attend a community art showcase. Skeptical but intrigued, Clara accepted, Max wagging his tail at her side as they walked toward the gallery. When she stepped inside, Clara froze. Her sketches, every detail, every imperfection, were framed and displayed with care. The raw emotions she had poured into her art were now glowing under soft lights. Around her, visitors admired the pieces, murmuring words like powerful and beautiful. Tears filled her eyes as she approached one of her favorite sketches, a portrait of Max she had tossed aside weeks ago. Below it, a plaque read, "By Clara, a visionary of resilience." "Do you like it?" Lucas's voice came from behind her. Clara turned slowly, her expression a mixture of disbelief and guarded hope. "What is this, Lucas?" "It's you," Lucas said, stepping closer. "Your talent, your story. I wanted people to see the incredible artist I've gotten to know." Clara's voice wavered. "You did all this? For me?" Lucas nodded. "I know I hurt you. I lied when I should have trusted you to see the real me. But everything I feel for you, it's real. I wanted to give you something that shows I believe in you, even if you can't forgive me." Clara looked around the gallery, her emotions swirling. "I don't need grand gestures, Lucas. I never did. I just needed honesty." "I know," Lucas said softly. "And I'm sorry I failed you. But I want to spend every day proving I can be better. I believe in your art, Clara. I believe in you." Clara's walls began to crumble as she saw the sincerity in his eyes, but her voice remained steady. "Trust isn't something you can fix with a gallery or $1 million apology. It takes time. I'll give you all the time you need," Lucas promised. Max barked softly, as if encouraging Clara. She glanced at the dog, then back at Lucas. Her lips curved into a faint smile. "You really collected all these?" Clara asked, motioning to the walls. Lucas nodded, his heart swelling with relief at her softening tone. "Every one. I couldn't let them go to waste. They're too incredible." Clara shook her head, a tear slipping down her cheek. "You're unbelievable. Just persistent," Lucas said with a small laugh. "I'll keep proving myself, Clara, however long it takes." As the gallery buzzed with admiration for her work, Clara realized this was more than an apology. It was Lucas showing her that he truly saw her, not just the girl on the bench, but the artist, the dreamer, and the fighter. For the first time in months, Clara felt a glimmer of hope, not just in her art, but in the possibility of trusting Lucas again. The weeks that followed the gallery exhibition were a time of soul-searching for Clara. Lucas had given her space, as promised, but his words lingered in her mind. She thought about his sincerity, his regret, and the incredible effort he had made to lift her up without expecting anything in return. One crisp morning, Clara decided to take a leap of faith. She called Lucas, her heart pounding as she waited for him to answer. "Clara?" His voice was cautious but hopeful. "Hi, Lucas," she said, exhaling. "I've been thinking about everything. If you're still willing, I'd like to start over as friends." "I'd like nothing more," Lucas said softly, a smile audible in his voice. From that moment, Lucas and Clara rebuilt their bond, layer by layer. Lucas helped Clara turn the temporary art gallery into a permanent space, complete with a studio where she could create freely. He respected her independence, letting her take the lead while providing support when she needed it. Clara began to see Lucas's wealth not as a source of intimidation but as a means to create positive change. She watched as he funded community programs, offered job opportunities to those in need, and supported local artists, all inspired by her story. Meanwhile, Clara found her confidence growing. Her artwork gained recognition, and her gallery became a beloved space for people of all walks of life. The once homeless girl now stood as a symbol of resilience and hope. Months later, on the evening of the gallery's grand opening, Clara stood in the middle of a packed room, surrounded by friends, supporters, and admirers of her work. Max sat faithfully by her side, his tail wagging as Lucas stepped onto the small stage set up at the center of the gallery. Lucas took the microphone, his gaze fixed on Clara. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here to celebrate this incredible woman and her amazing talent. But tonight isn't just about art. It's about the person behind it." Clara felt her cheeks flush as Lucas continued. "Clara, you taught me something I didn't know I was missing. You showed me that life isn't about what you have, it's about who you share it with. You gave me hope, joy, and love, and I can't imagine my life without you." He stepped off the stage, pulling a small box from his pocket. As he knelt before her, the room fell silent. "Clara," Lucas said, his voice steady but filled with emotion, "will you marry me?" Clara blinked back tears, her heart racing. "Only if you promise to keep buying me lunch," she teased, a wide smile breaking through her tears. The room erupted in laughter and applause as Clara pulled Lucas to his feet and embraced him. "Yes," she whispered, her voice trembling. 1,000 times yes. Their wedding, held months later, was a beautiful blend of their two worlds. Clara's friends from the shelter and her new gallery community mingled with Lucas's corporate allies and high society connections, all celebrating the union of two extraordinary individuals. Max trotted down the aisle as the honorary ring bearer, earning a round of cheers and laughter. As the evening wore on, Clara and Lucas shared their first dance under a canopy of twinkling lights. Clara rested her head against Lucas's chest, her voice soft as she said, "You didn't just change my life, Lucas. You showed me how to believe in myself again." Lucas held her close, his voice filled with love. "And you reminded me what it means to truly live." As the music played and their loved ones surrounded them, Clara and Lucas knew they had found something money could never buy, a partnership built on trust, resilience, and unwavering love. Thank you for joining us on this heartwarming journey of love, resilience, and second chances. Clara and Lucas's story reminds us that true wealth lies not in material possessions but in the kindness, trust, and love we share with others. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share it with someone who might need a little inspiration today. And for more stories that stir your soul and remind you of the beauty in life's unexpected moments, hit the subscribe button and join our community here on Soul-Stirring Stories. We can't wait to share more incredible tales with you. Until next time, take care and keep believing in the magic of love and kindness.